Time to rejoin the conversation. Okay, so we are back, and here we go. Party politics. There have been articles of impeachment filed against our current presidential administration, and so we want to talk about that, see what articles of impeachment were actually filed, and what do we think is coming of this, if anything, to tell you the truth. So first, let me go through what the articles actually were, because there were five articles of impeachment filed. First was obstruction of justice regarding the Russia investigation and the firing of FBI Director James Comey. The second was a violation of the foreign emollients.
It's a business
clause, and the foreign emollients clause bars public officials from receiving gifts from foreign governments without Congress's consent. We've got a violation of the domestic emollients clause, which bars presidents from profiting from his office. We've got number 4, undermining the independence of the federal judiciary and rule of law. And number 5, undermining freedom of the press. So I think anybody who's already more liberal leaning versus more conservative leaning probably agree to some degree with what the charges are.
may understand.
But was that?
May understand them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anybody agrees with them a whole lot.
Well,
let's put it out there. You know, this was only done by a group of
this was
six or eight senators and congresspeople.
So there were 6. So you got Steve Cohen from Tennessee. You've got Luis Gutierrez from Illinois. Al Green from Texas. Marcia Fudge.
I didn't know Al Green got elected, man.
I
love how he sings, man. I love his tunes.
I would rather he stay singing. We're joking out there in podcastland. It's not Al Green singing.
Oh, not that.
Marcia Fudge from Ohio. John Yarmouth from Kentucky. And Adriano Espaillat, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I am sorry, from the great state of New York.
So they were Congress people for the most part. I don't think.
Yeah, that's all Congress.
None of those were senators.
No, this is all Congress. All congressmen and women that filed the notion. They're all Democrats, all Congress people. Which doesn't surprise me that it was all Democrats.
Well, there's nothing in politics that isn't all Democrats and all Republican. Except that the Republicans tend to fight among themselves more than the Democrats.
Yeah, sometimes it seems
for the most part, even though in the Democratic Party they're starting to talk about younger leadership and moving out some of the older stuff. But that's kind of off subject.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the real question is,
are they viable?
So one, what do we think of the charges that are being levied? 2, do we think they're viable at all? 3, what do we think?
Let's kind of start and go down the list.
Yeah. So
the first one is the Russian scandal, basically.
Basically, yes. That is the The first one is the obstruction of justice charge,
which is the Russian scandal.
Right, exactly.
So
the firing of FBI Director Comey
and Comey with it.
Right.
So I want to go back a long time ago when we had a podcast and we were talking about how the Russian scandal was coming up, and Chris thought Russia was going to bring down Trump. Since he's not here, I can bang on him a little bit. And I said at that time, all parties need to be careful where they shit. Correct? And I think that's what the Russia scandal is boiling down to. They've been a year and they really don't have a whole lot on Trump. They got Manafort, they got this other guy, Papaloupadoupadis, whatever his name is. And they don't really have a whole lot. But they have something on the Podestas, and the Clintons, you got to look at them in the same way. And they have to, and this is going to be the problem with the American public, in my opinion. If they just go after Trump and that's all that he's going to go after, and you ignore what we see with the uranium one and the different things that happened with the Clintons and how the Podestas were involved with the Ukraine deal, and if you read in deep on it, these are all things that are involved with this whole nasty mess that it is. And in my opinion,
I think they would have to bring separate charges and have a separate.
It would have to be separate, and it would have to be a separate investigation somewhat.
Right.
But the problem is that it's all there. Everybody's kind of shit in the same place, and now they're all stepping in it. And they're going to have to be careful. So my opinion is that the press has to be careful. The Congress people and all the people involved have to be careful, because the American people are going, wait a second. If you did something wrong, if I did this, I'd be in jail. And you guys are sitting up there claiming that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, not the way I see it. And I think this is a major problem that we have as we start to look at these things, is that everything in government, they manage to bypass the law. They manage to get away with stuff. We see them constantly getting away with things. And we look at it and go, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I
mean, honestly, well, before I even weigh in, what do you think, Adrian?
On the first one, I think there is a degree of merit. Is it enough to impeach him as the president at this moment? I can't say that there isn't or is. The ongoing investigation obviously has some weight to it, with the obstructions, with the other ones that have followed from, I can't even remember his name right now, who asked for immunity. And some of the others.
Oh, Papadopoulos.
You think, Papadopoulos and Flint.
Flint. Yeah.
You're thinking of Flint.
Flint. He asked for immunity, so that still, just him alone, just still leads me to believe that there is there's some mud in the waters there. Is it enough to impeach from what I followed and listened to? I don't know yet. I do think there is some cahoots there for sure. But again, it's one of those ongoing things. But if they have enough, they need to release it and then let the American public and Congress and all that kind of weigh in on it.
Well, let's go back to another quick podcast. Remember, we spoke, I think Mr. O'Connor approved it, of what I said. In fact, I think he was the one that brought it up. It takes 3/4 of the Senate and 3/4 of the Congress to impeach the man.
Right.
Yes.
And this
is not going to happen.
Yeah, this is a drop in the bucket with these.
It's just like when the Republicans were trying to appeal Obamacare every other week.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not.
Is it any damn different? It's pissing in the wind, isn't it?
Yeah. Me personally, I do think there's merit in the charges. I don't think anything will come of them, because they're not going to get 3/4 of Congress.
They won't even get half.
Exactly. I'm like, you don't.
They'd be lucky if they got 30%.
Yeah, the Democrats don't have half of the Congress right now, and no Republican right now is going to, especially with people starting to ramp for campaigns for re-election in 18, and nobody's gonna buy on
Which
this.
I think is a bad move on the Democratic side to release this at this point.
Now I will give the media in general, higher marks on this one because they haven't been pouncing on this. Probably because of exactly what we're saying.
They'd look the fool if they
it doesn't have any. It doesn't seem to have any legs. So yes, it is newsworthy to say it happened, but to beat the drum of impeachment, knowing that you don't have enough votes, you just don't have enough votes. I don't know. I don't know if I think that they shouldn't have brought them, but I do think that them bringing them may not have any teeth. So because once again, as I go through the list, let's get off of Article 1 and get to Article 2 and 3.
They're combined.
Because they're saying he's gotten gifts from foreign powers without Congress's consent, and he's also profited from his office.
You know where I'm going to go with that.
Okay, so here's the thing with profiting from the office. Hillary running and any monies that wind up going back to the Clinton Foundation is different than a sitting president profiting, and that's where the problem comes in. At the time that Bill was actually president, he wasn't profiting off of the office. Now, and there is no rule saying that, if you're in a meeting with whomever, that you can't say, you can't bring up secondary business while Secretary of State. Now, I don't agree with a ton of things that happened while she was Secretary of State. I think she did some good. I think she did some things that she shouldn't have done. But at this point, we really would have to launch another investigation into her campaign. And to tell you the truth, I don't see that happening because I don't know if Trump has enough political capital.
Well, current Attorney General doesn't have the balls to do it, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, because
maybe she has dirt on him.
Well, and this is the thing,
Because that's how the game's played there, is who do you have dirt on, and how can you control them if you have dirt on them. And you got to admit, that's one thing the Clintons always been very good at.
I mean,
they have the ability to dig up dirt on about anybody. And they will use it to their advantage. They have been masters at it. And it's hard to deny that.
No, I mean, all the way back to
Whitewater.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, all the way back to
government.
Yeah, when he was the governor of Arkansas. I mean, but
they aren't angels.
Yeah,
They're far from it.
No. I don't. Delude myself that the Clintons are angelic.
But they're very Teflon.
Oh, I
do not understand how they get out of shit.
What they have done is they figured out, which is the one thing that I think drives me a little bananas with Trump in the White House, is they figured out how to play the game, because there is a game to be played.
Very much so.
And they figured out how to play it. And he's just like, I don't want to play the game. And he's like, he throws these tantrums and these tweet tantrums. And I'm like, if you just, like you say, dig the dirt up and put it in your back pocket, you don't have to throw tantrums. Because if somebody gets out of line, you go, let me talk to you. You see when you did that there? I'm gonna need you to shut up now. But he has not mastered that bit of political finesse.
Nope.
That the Clintons, I have to say, they're masterful at it.
The masters.
You know, they know how to dig dirt and when to use the dirt, so that it's not an illegal situation. It's you know, they're the
unscrupulous.
It might be unscrupulous, but they are masters at opposition research,
Which comes back to the Russian collusion thing with Trump.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that's opposition research.
But here's the problem: is so let's say the Clintons. Opposition research the exact same way. Nobody.
But the Podesta group did form.
Exactly. Nobody directly connected to your campaign.
Which is dissolved now.
Exactly.
Pretty interesting.
Nobody directly connected to your campaign is doing this opposition research.
Bingo.
This is an outside group, and they bring you a report. And if they met with Russians or whatever, they're not now in the White House with you. That's the problem. It's like everybody who's done whatever they've done.
It was like Flynn got fired early.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Flynn was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Before he joined Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, so it's
He didn't make it. I don't think he even made it January 1st, did he?
He didn't make it.
He made it through the inauguration.
No.
I think he got fired before the inauguration.
I
may be wrong. I don't know.
No, it was 3 weeks after
The inauguration.
the inauguration that he got fired. It was so.
But the business
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So that's foreign. So now, where me personally, I see him profiting is everywhere that they wind up staying when they're in country anyway, and a couple of places when they've gone overseas are all Trump properties.
A pretty nice property.
Now the problem is Trump is directly profiting off of government work, because not only is he staying there, but all of those secret services, and they build the government back for.
I wonder how much they bill him back though. Because Trump's only taking $1 for his salary.
Yeah, but if you're getting $1 million for all your secret services and everybody else,
I'd like to see that
staying at
number.
your hotel. But it's not a small number. I don't have the exact number, but I do.
The Obama administration traveled pretty heavy.
Yeah, but they didn't own any hotels that they could profit off of.
But if they did, they might have stayed there.
Yeah, maybe. But that's speculation that we don't have the luxury of doing, because
And it's hard to say that there's no previous president that hasn't profited in some way, shape, or form. You got Bush 2, where what was it, the war and the was it Vice President Cheney and Albert?
Well, and that's the thing. So how you get around is you don't own any piece of Halliburton, but your boy does, and so you're moving money into his pocket, but it's not actually your pocket. Mm-hmm. So
that was the whole Iraq war.
Oh yeah,
I worked for a Halliburton company.
Oh yeah, so not only because so I'm not saying that he's the first president to ever do something that felt shady.
But I don't think it's an impeachable offense. I don't think that he.
I don't know if any one piece.
I can't really. I can't really take a look at that and say, he's just really stretching out to, collect a whole crap load of money for his business
Well, he wouldn't say that anyway.
by running them in there.
But he has reneged on the fact that he said, once I become president, all that, I'll become completely dissolved from all of my properties and my businesses and let my kids run them. And now, you know.
I mean, because even when they stay at Mar-a-Lago, he builds the government back for, you know, for all of that.
And that saves, I mean, I'm sure people kind of want to follow, you know, where the crowd goes. And that brings a lot of people.
Let's look back. Let's look back at Bush. Bush would go out to the Crawford Ranch. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they had the bill for the Secret Service and everybody to be there. Both the Clintons and the Obamas loved Cape Cod. And going not Cape Cod, but Martha's Vineyard.
Mm-hmm. That's a regular spot.
And they had to stay either at somebody's house or they had to stay in a, you know, big inn and take the place over.
Yeah.
And charge the flights to get there.
Yeah.
And charge for the Secret Service to be there. And I promise you, I've stayed on Martha's Vineyard many times. My wife's account was Thomas Hart Benton, and we used to go see his properties and review them every year, and she rented them out to wealthy people to stay there for the summer. So I know a lot about the vineyard, and I lived out there, and Michelle and I used to go down to the vineyard in the dead of winter because nobody was there. Stay at the Hagertown Inn, go travel the island, and then pop in with the locals in the afternoon tavern and get drunker and shit with them. So it was a different deal in February to go to the vineyard than it is in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, true.
And is that really any different? You know,
well,
there is some difference only because he owns it, but still, amount of money that is transferred.
But that is
certain people.
Yeah, but you don't own the property, and I think that's where the issue, if there is such an issue, that's where the issue lies.
Right.
So,
what's the next one?
Undermining the independence of the federal judiciary.
Like firing Comey, would that be the qualification on that criteria?
Let's see. Trying to see. I was kind of looking through these, and I was trying to find some of these they kind of defined, and some of these they really didn't define, and that's one of them that they didn't define. That one I wasn't sure where it was coming from, except the only thing that I could think people are thinking about is when Obama put forth a candidate for the Supreme Court, and they didn't even take a vote.
It had nothing to do with
but that doesn't have anything to do with Trump directly. So that one I wasn't.
And if the shoe had been flipped the other way, they would have done the same thing.
Yeah, that one I wasn't sure about. Now, number 5, undermining the freedom of the press. Okay, so I got
fake news.
Here, that particular phrase may not be directly him undermining, but that has been a hugely undermining force in journalism right now.
Well, don't you think a lot of presidents would like to go after some of the media that way? I mean, that's the one. You know, I would love to see like a Mitch Romney instead of Trump.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, we are talking about
that. You know, as a conservative president and all that, because Mitch Romney would have had the aplomb that Trump doesn't have. That bothers me. Trump's lack of class sometimes can be very, very bothersome. I still like to see my president be presidential.
Yeah.
But I also like to see him have some balls.
Well, yeah, but have some balls and being presidential, I don't think are mutually exclusive. You know, I think you can have some class
and still have balls.
Exactly.
And I think Mitt Romney would have been a good candidate for that, as far as, you know, somebody who views the world as I do.
Yeah. So with those 5, I guess I'm looking at the 5, and at least 4 of them I can at least see where they were coming from. Now, once again, I don't think that there's enough votes, and I don't think that there's necessarily enough teeth in
there's enough evidence
to get any of these pushed forward. But I'm wondering if this is going to be, like, the first.
Salvo?
Well, exactly. If this is going to be like the first girl who said, Harvey Weinstein did something.
True.
Like, and then all of a sudden the floodgates are going to open. That's what I'm kind of wondering. I don't know if these articles will be the ones, but I'm wondering if this will open up the door for people emotionally on both sides of the aisle to be able to, you know what, we do need to do something.
Well, let's look at a different angle. You have Tom Steyer out there, billionaire, who has commercials running on all networks, Fox, CNN, spending millions of dollars with basically a hashtag Impeach Trump campaign that he's doing, and he's paying a lot of money for it. And you got to pay a lot of money to get that thing on Fox.
Yeah.
What, millions?
Yeah, those commercials.
I saw the commercials.
Yeah, those commercials are not
And
cheap.
he's very progressive, along with George Soros. And they're dumping. In fact, George Soros, they just had a meeting out in California that was kind of held in secret, and there was a lot of big players there, and they've been sworn to secrecy on what went down there. He's moved $18 billion into this.
Jesus.
Now, this is a progressive movement.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at who George Soros is. George Soros grew up in Hungary, was part of the communist system there. And I don't know if he holds a U.S. citizenship or not. He may hold dual citizenship.
Yeah.
But these are things that are coming out there now. This is a progressive movement that is determined to make America a socialist state. And so this is difficult. I made a little comment the other day. I said, you take Norway, Finland, all Europe, including Eastern Bloc and Southern Europe,
Yeah.
and you put all that into square mileage, it would fit east of the Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't even be into the western part of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a whole. We got such a different demographic of people in our land here, and we've talked about this in former podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I don't.
But it kind of ties all together with this a little bit, and there's the only reason I brought this up. That there is a strong movement now, a lot of money behind it, to try to get him out. And some of the Republicans are the same way. They're establishment Republicans. They don't like his rebel rousing, so. The question is, to me, and what bothers me, is has he really done, with all of what he is, and we all understand what Trump is, has he really done anything that's impeachable to make him be impeached, besides the fact that a lot of us just don't like him because of his style?
His tag?
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna. Okay, so out there in podcast land, if you go back and you listen through a lot of these shows, and actually Dave teases me about this when we're off air, there's rare moments that we agree. And
there are moments that we don't agree.
And he usually says, you can tell by the look on my face when I
get the stone podcast land. I get the stone cold. That's what I get. I get the stone cold.
But I will have to say, I don't know fully about everything that you're talking about right now. So I'm not gonna. I'm not going to pretend to know, so I'm not going to make comments. But I will say that that there definitely is a movement to impeach Trump, And I'm not going to say that I wouldn't like to see him removed from office, but what I will say is, yes, the reason that I want him removed from office is I just don't like this guy. I don't like him. I don't think he's good for our country in any way. He is as divisive as I've ever seen anybody be in our politics in this modern time. And here's where
This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt Rio here.
It's hard to say. This is where I have to say, Dave might be right. There may not be enough to.
I'm co-signing.
It may not be enough to remove him from office.
I'm co-signing.
Not liking him may not be enough to remove him.
Yeah, it's not enough to get rid of him. And then this is the problem. You have to be careful who you vote for, and because if things go to crap, it's nobody's fault but our own. If we voted for somebody, if he ends up doing well, then those of us who voted for him are vindicated. If he ends up doing poorly, well, then somebody else will be elected. And we always have to keep that system in there. We are stuck with who we elect. Like them or not, we're stuck with who they elect. If you want to make a change, we always have to have the ability to elect the next guy.
This is
and that is true. Our democracy, that is our republic, and we always have to stay America in that way. We can never go to the socialist systems and things like that where that doesn't happen. That's where we still have to stick to our guns on that issue. You always have the ability to make a change.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, I think we'll have him for one term, and he will get voted out.
They have him for two.
Well,
honestly, if the economy really does well,
honestly, I cannot see him in for two, only because
he may back out and let Pence run.
Honestly, no, I don't see him backing out. What I do see is on the other side of them, because what I've noticed is so many people didn't like Hillary.
They better tell her to go away because she ain't shut her mouth yet.
Yeah. Now I don't see her running again, but here's the problem: so many people don't like Hillary that they didn't vote.
Right.
So I don't see that happening next cycle. I see people getting way more pragmatic. They go, you know what? I really don't necessarily love this person, but I don't want 4 more years of Trump,
right.
And they will go to the polls, and that is America. If you don't like what happens, you don't like who got voted in, vote them out.
I didn't vote for Obama the first term, but I can promise you I saluted America for electing a black president. These were all things that I thought was wonderful about America. We did something we hadn't done before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was proud of America for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I didn't agree with a lot of things he did. Simple as that.
There we go. So, with that, I think we'll leave this section on Dave saying nice things about Obama and me having to swallow.
Put it on your calendar.
And with that, we'll be right back. Hey, you having a good time? Let me introduce you to a couple of my media brothers. First, www.americathemixtape.com, a cipher on American politics, society, and culture. And where'd I get that mixtape? Of course, www.cornerbodega.us, purveyors of urban culture. Come on, let's get back to the party. And we are back. So during the break, we were discussing a different kind of sugar honey iced tea with Dave reliving his youth, driving a stick shift at 115 miles an hour, which sounded amazing. But let's get to...
It was the shit.
All right. So let's get to today's sugar honey iced tea. So, as always, before we get out of here, we're going to talk about today's Sugar Honey Iced Tea. And for those that don't know, these are things that I, or a member of the group, have found that are really cool, aka the shit. And I, being a huge comic fan and comic movie fan, over the weekend went to see the Justice League. And it was the shit. So,
you like that better than Ragnarok or whatever that was? That was the funny Marvel movie that you saw. It's had a lot of humor.
Oh, no. Actually, Ragnarok was better.
Thank you.
Ragnarok was better.
Okay.
Anybody out there who's been following DC movies, you had Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and now Justice League. So a lot of people were feeling like they really didn't like, for multiple different reasons, Batman vs. Superman. But the Justice League, it was a shit. It was better plot. It was had some really cool action. It was funnier. The way that Jason Momoa is playing Aquaman is good and hilarious. And so I cannot remember his real name, but the guy who's playing the Flash in the movies is hilarious. There's some questions out there. I don't want to give any spoilers as to whether or not a certain main character is in this movie in any other way than flashbacks. And I'm going to say, you'll be happy. That's the best thing I can say without giving any spoilers. Either way, we went, we saw, we had a ball.
Did you like Deadpool?
Oh, I love Deadpool.
I love Deadpool.
Deadpool's hilarious.
That's the only Marvel one I've seen.
Yeah. No,
Deadpool's
hilarious. Yeah, and perfectly played, because Deadpool's character in the comics and even when he was on the cartoon was that type of sarcastic, and he always...
I get sarcasm. And sarcasm is my deal. I get sarcasm.
Yeah, and he always...
And I like dark humor, and that was dark humor.
Yeah, super dark humor. And he always broke the fourth wall and talked right to the camera. And so they played that... So he played...
I was just curious. I never have asked you about Deadpool.
Yeah, he played it.
That was a shit.
That one perfectly. It was a shit. Yes. Anybody out there who hasn't gone, you're on the fence, you're not sure, go ahead, spend the money, make it a night out, go and see the Justice League, because it was the shit. And with that, I'm going to end this podcast in the way I end all podcasts, and that is with the toast that started it off for me, and that is to good times with good people.
Hear it.